Okay, it's time for part 5 of Black Clover's best moments. And we're finally getting to the Magicula fight. And also the Yuno fight with Zenon. But starting with the Magicula fight, this, once again, like I said in the last video, is my favorite fight of all of Black Clover. I consider the Vonica and Magicula fight as one giant fight, but yeah, this is my favorite. So obviously it starts out with Magicula partly manifesting out of Vonica. And at the exact same time, she immediately turns Lillipitchka into a devil. Yeah, so she just basically upped the ante and all the power that happened with the Vonica fight. So it was Vonica and a cursed Lillipitchka versus everyone. But then because Vonica was beaten so easily by Noelle, a more powerful character, Magicula, comes around, and then she also decides to make Lillipitchka even stronger by turning her into a devil. That is the most Black Clover thing I can think of possible. Just keep upping the ante to the point of insanity. And basically everything falls apart almost instantaneously. So Charlotte and Rill decide to team up to basically counter Magicula's curse magic and are immediately just crushed. Basically cursed blood magic is used to just rip through them in an instant, just cutting them apart, and they're just brought to the ground without even a fight. Gaja decides to go after Lillipitchka to stop her, but obviously he can't actually hurt her because he loves her, and so she just stabs him through the stomach with her bare hand. And then of course Noelle, seeing all this, decides, okay, I have to take out Magicula with one hit, just runs out of magic. Just Spear Dive just deactivates. So Magicula is just mocking Noelle, basically telling her that it's over, you should give up, you're gonna die. And she's just getting more and more pissed. She doesn't give up. You can see in her face, she's pissed. So she isn't giving up, because Noelle has learned from Austin never to give up. But she is basically out of options at the moment. She's trying to figure out what the hell she should do. That's when Gaja basically sends off a signal into the sky to alert her that he's gonna do something. First thing he does is he paralyzes Lillipitchka with his electricity, so she can't move, and immediately attacks Magicula at full speed, and uses ultimate lightning magic to blast her with everything he has. This, of course, does nothing because she cursed herself to have regeneration, which is bullshit levels of unbullshit. Devils already have healing factor. We know this from basically every devil they fought so far. The fact that she now has a more enhanced healing factor because she cursed herself is just insane. So yeah, Rill is down, Charlotte is down, Gaja goes down after that because he basically burned himself in the process of attacking Magicula. And the only one left standing are Noelle and Undine, but then Magicula just curses Undine, basically fry her flesh in a sense, even though she's made of water. And so she goes down immediately, and then the only one left is Noelle. And she goes, okay, now will you give up, Noelle? Now it's time for you to fall into despair and just be done. Noelle refuses. She decides to go into her Valkyrie armor, and then Magicula starts cursing her and just ripping her flesh apart, in a sense. And so that's when Magicula starts to ask, why don't you give up? Why don't you just stop? Like, you know you can't win. You know you can't beat me. So why do you keep doing this? Why do you humans keep going and going? And Noelle's response is quite simple. What makes a human being strong is that they never give up. And Magicula's like, oh, that's so interesting. I like you. I'm now going to blow up Lillipitchka. So yeah, Magicula's annoyance by the fact that Noelle will never give up, and she finds this human quality of never giving up to be fascinating. She decides to then punish that very quality by seeing by making her watch her friend die in the most brutal way possible, knowing that Noelle has no way of stopping it. So even if Noelle never gives up, she's still gonna it doesn't mean anything. That's basically what Magicula's trying to say right here now. But that's when Asa just flies past Noelle and just deactivates the explosion curse with his anti-magic. And I love the contrast between these panels of Noelle just in absolute despair as she's like stumble running towards Lillipitchka to try to do anything, which she can't do anything. She doesn't have the power to stop it, but she's just desperately running. And this panel where Asta saves the day, and she's just filled with such elation and happiness. So Magicula, realizing that who Asta is, oh yeah, you must be the boy who can use anti-magic. So she decides to then immediately just use a curse to kill Lillipitchka and Vonica, which when I reread this, I had no idea Vonica was still alive at this point. And I think she survives this battle. I don't think she ever actually dies. So I think Vonica might be still alive, which is insane to me because she looks like a burnt corpse at this point. How the hell is she still alive? But then both curses just immediately get canceled out. And Mugga's like, what? How? That's not possible. And it's because Charlotte is still alive, and she deactivated the curses. Megillah was trying to figure like, no, that's not possible. You should be dead. And then that's when Rill's like, that's because I'm here. And so he activated his ultimate magic, which is the Valhalla spell, which boosts everyone's magic power and all their stats, but also makes them basically unkillable. But their wounds will come back at the end. So him, Charlotte, and Gajia are all back on their feet, ready to fight. But they all acknowledge that they're going to die as soon as they run out of magic. Well, as soon as Rill runs out of magic. It's funny because Megillah becomes more and more fascinated by humans at this point, where she's surprised that they basically get stronger as you increase the struggle for their survival. So like Yami always says, push past your limits. That's basically what humans do, and which makes sense why Megillah would be fascinated by this, because in the world of the devils, you cannot get stronger. You are born with a certain base amount of magic, and that is your existence. That's who you are. You're either born a low-level devil, a mid-ranking devil, a high-ranking devil, or a supreme devil. There's no way you can fight against your destiny in the underworld. It would make sense that Megillah would find the ability to keep growing as a human while in battle to be fascinating and entertaining. So, like I've said this before, Valhalla has the ability to create a bunch of Valkyrie paintings that are able to fight as an army for real, and Megillah apparently also has the ability to curse corpses, basically turn them into monsters that she can control puppets to fight as well. So it's just two giant armies colliding with each other. By the way, Rill has been proven time and time again to be the best support mage. In fact, I think he's even recognized as the best support mage by Lucifero later on in the arc. So... Now that the curses are being canceled out, Undine is back on her feet, and she's able to basically take care of Lil Pichka and Asta, who are basically done for the fight. Asta seems like, yeah, I can't do anymore. I'm out of strength. Noah's like, what do you mean? You just got here. She's like, yeah, I understand. You were fighting before you even got here. I'll handle this. And this is where Noelle finally admits, at least to herself, that she's in love with Asta. She, of course, doesn't have it in her to actually say it out loud to him, but we'll get there. We still have the last arc. But yeah, so she finally goes back into Spear Dive one last time to take on Megillah herself. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick sidetrack at the moment. You see this panel that's on screen right now? Yeah, this panel, I was looking for color images, obviously, for online. And as I was doing that, I found the Asta POV of this panel. Yes, someone actually drew that. And as you know, Noelle is naked underneath her Spear Dive armor. So it was very well drawn. Let me just say that. I cannot show it to you, but it was very well drawn. Like it is insane. Just what kind of people are out there sometimes? Just this is a very epic scene where Asta's super impressed by Noelle's Spear Dive because it's the first time he get to see it, and yeah, someone drew a POV version for Asta of it. Wow. All right, back on course. So, because Noelle is the one with the spirit magic, she has to be the one to take down Megillah. So everyone else decides to basically carve a path for her. Rill basically creates Odin out of his fucking magic, and Charlotte creates True Briar Magic Spear, and they just start rowing down the army that Megillah summoned with her curse. But even working together, plowing through Megillah's army, it's still not enough, and Noelle's about to be overtaken. That is until... Luck just comes out of nowhere as a fucking lightning bolt and just rips through some more as well. Gajia then also gets up, blasts the monsters as well, and then they do a simultaneous attack against Megillah, where they both turn into fucking lightning streams and zip straight through Megillah, ripping her apart. What Gajia couldn't do by himself, him and Luck were able to do together, where Megillah just turns into bits of demon flesh. This also opens up a path for Noelle, where she just rockets to kill Megillah with her last blow, but Megillah makes his shield out of her curse magic and blocks Noelle. And that is when Nozel comes out of fucking nowhere, smashes through Megillah's barrier, and of course shreds her again in a surprise attack. Now, he cannot kill her because, well, he doesn't have spirit magic, but fuck does he care? Noelle is right there. And Megillah immediately realizes as she's dying, oh, so this is the power of humans. And but that's when their mother appears and just hugs them and says she's proud of them for what they've done, which makes me think that did Noelle's mother actually get stuck to Megillah after she died? Did the curse capture her soul and hold her to Megillah? It was stated by Megillah that she was going to use Noelle's mother, Lolapichka, and Bonica, their deaths to summon her to the human world. So I mean, she like captures their soul in the process, in which case their mother's soul like imprisoned in Magicula all this time. It's just horrible to think about, but she's free now and she's proud of her children, and she's actually able to say goodbye this time. Which is a beautiful way to end the fight, except the fight technically isn't over yet, because now that Rill is going to deactivate his magic, him, Charla, and Gaja are all going to now die. And Lolopechka uses all the magic she can to save them. Now that she's no longer being cursed as a devil, she's back to being a human. It doesn't work. She doesn't have the kind of power to do that. But Noct, of course, he had decided to, basically a last-minute save by Noct, bringing in Mimosa. And of course, Mimosa knows ultimate magic, so even if someone is basically on the brink of death, she is able to heal them with her power, which is fantastic on that part. It's crazy how Mimosa, when we first meet her, could barely heal a gut wound from Asta, now is basically able just to fucking stop death. Like, that is utterly amazing on her part. Okay, the Xenon fight. It is actually a lot shorter than I remember when I went back to go check it out. After he goes 100%, Yuno and Longrus are basically getting their just asses kicked. And Yuno says, okay, give me 3 minutes. I'll be able to build up enough magic power to take him out in that time. And Longrus is like, I can barely survive fighting with you against him in defense. There's no way I can protect you and also be able to counter his attacks for 3 whole minutes. And Yuno's like, I have faith in you because you were the vice captain of the Golden Dawn. And Longrus is like, well, this is going to be bad. But it's not like I have a choice. I have to do this. And that's when we get the reveal that Longrus learned Mana Zone. And so Longrus is basically able to encapsulate himself in a giant sphere of spatial death magic. And it's pretty insane because this whole time spatial magic has not been able to work because of Xenon's, has the Supreme Devil's spatial magic ability, so he can make an entire zone, cancels out all magic. But Longrus was able to, because he's a master of spatial magic, able to make a small area within the territory of Xenon. And when Xenon tries to just skewer him straight up, his bone blades just evaporate just on contact with spatial zone. So Xenon continues his assault, realizing that there's even if he can't pierce through the spatial zone that Longrus has created, there's no way in hell Longrus can fight back. Of course, this isn't because Xenon is just straight up wasting his attacks. He's actually slowly figuring out increasing his power to be able to pierce through the spatial zone without actually getting his attacks vaporized. And he does it. His bone whips are able to cut through Longrus. Once Longrus realizes this, he then decides to go straight on the attack and charges Xenon straight on. Xenon thinks he's about to kill him, but this is, of course, is just a bluff because Yuno is fully charged and creates a wind arrow, Spirit of Enos, and just shoots Xenon straight through the heart. This is the second time he's been shot through by Yuno in this fight. Using someone as a distraction and then shooting someone through with an attack from behind, from their blind spot, is something that Xenon caused him to remember his past, where basically he had a best friend similar to Asta who used fire magic. They wanted to be strong and protect their kingdom together, just like Asta and Yuno. And they basically just lived their lives fighting and protecting until eventually a devil showed up. A low-level devil, so it was weak, but it was still more powerful than any mage that they had. His friend attacked head-on, trying to kill the devil, and then Xenon used that opportunity to shoot through his friend to kill the devil. This leads him to the current moment where he decides to make a deal with Beelzebub, where in exchange for his soul, he would get a devil's heart. So he's still willing to give up anything just for victory. Xenon's will is pretty weak when it comes down to it. The fact that he's just so willing to immediately resort to just basically losing everything in exchange just for a slight chance of victory at the drop of a hat is insane to me. Like, he doesn't even try to overcome a situation. He just straight up says, okay, well, this is the smart move, therefore I should do it this way. My best friend, my family, my soul, I'll give it all up just to win, which is insane. Utterly insane. So Xenon becomes a devil, obviously, and fucking badass looking. He's probably the character that gets more and more badass looking as he gets stronger. And and of course he does the same thing he always does, his bone whips. And he just wrecks Yuno in an instant, just flies him across the room, just shredding his body up and down. Yuno tries to counterattack, but it's useless because Xenon could just create a spatial magic cube around Yuno and just attacks him with all directions with his bones. Yuno's actually knocked unconscious at that moment, and it's like instant. But Longrus actually survives the original assault because his brother, Finral, teleports him out of there. So he's a little bit angry, Longrus is a little bit angry that his brother came to save him again. But Finral's like, no, I came to save my captain. This is just a side trip. Yeah, so it seems that these two have finally being able to make up with each other and actually become proper brothers. And so they finally are able to then fight together, which is pretty amazing because Finral's then able to teleport all over the place, dodging Xenon's attacks while Longris does the attacking himself, is able to focus completely on attacking. And this combination is so damn effective. I mean, every time Xenon attacks with his bones, they immediately teleport out of the way until they teleport behind him. And that's when Longris is able to do a single attack, just slash Xenon straight through where his heart is. Unfortunately, he does not have spirit magic or arcane magic, and so he's unable to destroy a devil's heart. So when Yuno finally regains consciousness, both Longris and Finral are just scared and just beaten down, just ripped apart. And Yuno actually starts to break down because this is such a situation where he just can't win. He was unable to protect his squad. He's unable to keep his promise with Yuno. He was unable to fulfill his dreams. He's just lost all of a sudden, and there's nothing he can do to fight back. But that's when it starts to shine, a new grimoire for Yuno. And as a royal of the Spade Kingdom, he has access to what is probably one of the most powerful magic types there is. Space magic. Not spatial, but space magic. And his is, of course, star magic. So he starts out by blasting Xenon with star lasers, which is fucking amazing, just so he could release Finral and focus completely on him. And of course it works. Yuno's spirit dies one more time. He moves Finral and Longris out of the way. So this way they're not involved in the fight. And Xenon immediately starts attacking Yuno, but he puts up a fucking barrier with his star magic. Yeah, okay, so star magic is pretty much busted because it's literally he just produces stars, little shiny stars that fly all over the place that can do all kinds of weird things when we're combined together. So, for example, the shield is when a couple stars link together in form of basically a force field. Then when Xenon decides to do that thing he did to Yuno before, create a zone around Yuno and attack him in all directions, Yuno is able to use the star to teleport himself. One of his stars just flies behind Xenon, teleports him, and so the spatial attack misses Yuno, and now he's behind Xenon. And that's when Xenon turns around just in time to be blasted by a fucking laser again. But this time it's much more powerful than the first time he got shot with one. So Xenon's bones are flying all over the place. Yuno's stars are shooting lasers all over the place. And so while they're basically blocking each other's long and mid-range attacks, you decide to resort to fighting. Yuno then combines his stars into like a whip and just cuts Xenon in half. Now, of course, unfortunately, because this is not his spirit magic, not able to kill Xenon, but it is able to just fuck him up, which is amazing. Of course, not wanting to be the only one who gets iced up, he decides to basically enact like a special magic own slash attack, where he's able to just cut the air and leave it and send it as a projectile. Of course, Yuno is faster now, so he's able to dodge all of these attacks. He's able to get within range of Xenon, basically create like a giant spirit wind bomb thing, where he just chucks it at Xenon. That's when Xenon basically sees that Yuno is basically on the verge of losing, because he sees that the stars are being all used up, and he can't actually destroy Devil's Heart, and he basically is like, oh, well, I have the victory at hand, which is completely wrong, because at this point, Yuno basically is finally able to connect with L at almost at 100%, and he finally goes into Spirit Dive with the power to destroy a devil. Not just that, but he also, by pushing himself to the brink of death, also unlocked even more of his power, which in turn gave him access to more stars. And so, when Xenon was about to do the final blow, Yuno just teleports behind him and cuts him straight through the heart with spirit magic. And that is the end of the Xenon fight. Oh, wow. This is the longest video I've done so far. I said that last time, too. Alright, so if you enjoyed, please subscribe, give it a thumbs up, so you can enjoy more Black Clover and other anime things. Thank you, and have a great day.